Welcome back to Press Review. Let's start by taking a look at today's front pages in the Middle East. Starting in the UAE, the Gulf News leads reporting that despite the UN Security Council appeal for an immediate ceasefire in the worst part of Palestinian-Israeli violence for more than 5 years, neither Israel nor the Hamas appeared ready to stop fighting as the Gaza death toll topped 572. The paper also reports that with the backing of Russia, the UNSC yesterday unanimously adopted a resolution condemning the downing of the jet and demanding crash site access. From Beirut, the Daily Star reports that the escalating rift within the Sunni Higher Islamic Council took an important turn in favor of the future movement today, as 4 members close to the Grand Mufti Sheikh Mohammed Rashid Qabbani resigned. The paper also reports that a rocket meant for Israel fell short of its target and landed inside Lebanon. From Saudi Arabia, the Arab News reports that Gaza Emergency Services spokesperson Ashraf al-Qudra said airstrikes and shelling killed 54 people, including 5 children, and another 68 bodies were pulled from the rubble in areas hit by heavy fighting a day earlier. The paper also reports that customs officers in Tabuk have foiled an attempt to smuggle nearly 11 million amphetamine drug pills. The Egypt Independent leads reporting that supporters of deposed President Mohamed Morsi are preparing marches today after evening prayers from the major mosques in Cairo and Giza under the slogan against poverty to denounce price hikes and poor economic conditions. The paper also reports that Israel has pounded targets across the Gaza Strip, dashing hopes of a pause in the fighting, as the military said one of its soldiers was missing, presumed dead following clashes with Hamas Islamists. From Iran, the Tehran Times leads reporting that Washington and the United Nations demanded an immediate ceasefire in Gaza yesterday as Israel pressed a blistering assault on the enclave, pushing the Palestinian death toll to 514. The paper also reports that Iran will be hosting a gathering of top parliamentarians from Turkey, Syria and Iraq, among others, to discuss the Israeli attacks on the Gaza Strip. And now let's take a look at the top Middle East news from UK papers. The Guardian leads Middle East news reporting that European countries have to recognize the Syrian refugee crisis will not go away and should offer asylum seekers legal, humane routes into Europe. The paper says a new report by the UN High Commissioner for Refugees shows that while the proportion of Syrian refugees seeking asylum in Europe remains relatively low, the total number is growing, and there are worrying signs that the EU's response is growing less benign. The Telegraph reports that Al-Qaeda has renewed its pledge of allegiance to Mullah Omar and the Taliban in a move that will be viewed as a snub to the Islamic State and its caliphate. The paper says the statement issued in a new online magazine is the movement's first official response to Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi and his blitzkrieg advance through Syria and Iraq. Also from the UK, the Independent leads Middle East news reporting that Israel airstrikes have resumed in Gaza this morning, despite the growing international push for a ceasefire, with the bombing of around 70 targets, including 5 mosques and a sports complex. The paper says the violence also unusually spilled over into the nearby occupied West Bank, where doctors said a Palestinian man was shot dead by police during a protest involving stone throwing. And now let's take a look at the top Middle East news in international papers. From Germany, the Deutsche Welle reports that dozens of officers have been detained in a series of arrests around Turkey. The paper adds that most of the arrests reportedly involved officers who held key positions in the investigation into alleged corruption in Prime Minister Recep Tayyip Erdogan's inner circle. And from China, the Global Times reports that the European Union has extended the suspension of restrictive measures on Iran over its nuclear program until November the 24th. The paper says under the sanctions relief specified in the Joint Plan of Action, the Islamic Republic could continue parts of its international oil trade, which is the pillar of the country's economy. That was it for today. For more news, visit our website levant.tv. Thanks for watching Levant TV Press Review, and bye for now.